Hey guys, welcome to another video on Bharat in Germany. My name is Bharat, and in this video, I have Siddharth with me. He is also a student who was featured in The Day in Life of a Student in Germany, episode 6. So if you haven't watched that video, take a look at that. Siddharth has a pretty interesting story. He did a Studienkolleg in Germany, he did his bachelor's in Germany. Then afterwards, he's doing his master's now and doing an internship. So this is very interesting. And to get you the entire, let's say, idea of how these three phases in Germany look like, I have a long interview with Siddharth, so where I want to sit down and ask him all of these questions. So, Siddharth, welcome to the call, and I'm super happy to have you
Thanks.
on the channel again. Can you tell me a bit about yourself and about some of the background that you want to share with us?
Yeah, so I come from Mumbai and I'm 24 and I've been in Germany for about 6 years now. And it's been a wonderful experience, like going from since I was 18 to 24, and it's been a long journey. And it was kind of challenging at start, but after some time you get used to the country, and now like I know how the country works now. I know the ins and outs of the country, and I'm pretty much well accustomed to the country. Yeah.
Now, Siddharth, tell me this thing, when you decided to go to Germany and stuff, how did that idea start? And were your parents nervous about it? Because so this question is more towards the parents, because I know many of them are at 17 years of age or 18 years of age. How does it make sense? A bit of that story would be super interesting.
Yeah, so I was preparing for my J mains actually, and I was in my 12th grade as well. And I was pretty much I took the decision to come to Germany pretty much at the end. So I was mainly preparing for Manipal or some university in Mumbai. But I took, when I was taking my J main coaching, I was taking it privately through a private tutor, and he just told me about this thing that education in Germany is pretty much free. And it came to my mind that if I'm paying certain amount of money in India,
Mm.
I'm about to pay the same money abroad. So I would rather prefer an international education over an Indian education system. And that's when that idea came into my mind. And I decided. So I was pretty much late for the public student colleague because you need to have good amount of German to join those. So I went for a private one,
Mm.
and I went to a counselor and she suggested me the private student colleague.
Mm.
And yeah, so my parents were, so I'm the only child, first of all. So if that's the case, then yeah, I mean, my parents were a little bit,
Let's pour all our savings inside.
yeah, so they were like, it was a difficult decision for me
Yeah.
and them as well, because yeah, in the end of the day, I'm the only child, and they were happy but sad as well that I'll be leaving. And for me, it was a pretty dicey decision as well. So by the time I was leaving for Germany, I was in this state that no, I just don't want to go. I'll miss out on all my friends and family, etc.
Ah.
But yeah, in the longer run, that was a great decision, I feel, because when you come early, you face a lot of things in the start. So by the time you start your bachelor's, which was after 1 year, I didn't have any hurdle to pass. I was it was a smooth transition for me. And the first 2 semesters of a bachelor's are very important because even though the subjects are pretty basic, they hold the most amount of credit points. And that's when where you score well, will your GPA come well, and then that helped me to get a scholarship actually in Germany through the state.
That's very cool. And are you talking about the Deutschland stipendium or is it something else?
Deutschland stipendium.
Okay, okay. That's
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, very selected students get that, so that's also very nice. So in this timeline, Siddharth, so what was the time when you got your 12th mark sheet and stuff, and when could you come to Germany or apply to the Studienkolleg? What was the timeline?
So
When were you in Germany then?
this was in 2015 March, I think, when I gave my 12th grade. I got my results,
Hmm.
and it was pretty much good enough to get admission here. And but usually every German university starts in winter semester, so that's September. And I had this span of 6 months where I had the time to go through the visa process, etc. And because it was a student colleague, I didn't face much of those visa issues as well, because they knew that it'll be the first step towards my education in Germany. It took, so I had to give IELTS to just prove that you have this English proficiency. And apart from that, there was a entrance test for the student colleague, which was pretty much math. And yeah, that was it. And after that, I was given an option if I want to go for my bachelor's in total English or part in German, part in English. But back then I didn't know the importance of German, so I said, okay, let's just go for English because I'm good at it and I will score well. But then later down the path, you would realize that academics just matter for admissions in unis, but in the real life, like, you need to integrate yourself into the culture and you need to speak the language. So yeah, if I knew, I would change that for sure. I would go for a bachelor where it's part German, part English. But yeah,
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, you learn from everything. I think like that's very important. During that time, Siddharth. So again, you told me that your parents were like feeling sad and like they were also like feeling happy because like you were moving. So how would you describe it? So like, so my personal like let's say philosophy about this is like, if you are not happy with your decision of staying in India, right? And maybe like that makes your parents happy, but in the longer run, your parents will not be happy because they will see you that you're not living the kind of life that you have imagined for yourself. So do you think like that is like also important, that like maybe parents like maybe over the longer run realize actually that it makes more sense that we let the child do what he wants, or like what do you think there?
yeah, I mean, it totally depends on how your family is, first of all.
Yeah.
And if I would really suggest that it's a good idea to leave as soon as possible, because once everything comes on you, you become independent sooner than you expected.
Mm,
And definitely, like it's not an easy move to get out, but it's a highly recommended one, because you it takes you 1 year, like you are 18 and that's your age, where you want to party everything. Of course, I did party as well in my student colleague, but there were other responsibilities as well, which I definitely wouldn't have taken up if I was in India. Like just say banking, for example, I wouldn't have ever, or health insurance or visa procedures. All of that now, I took care of that at that age, and that's what kind of makes me proud that yeah, it was a good decision, and it's always good to let your child do what he wants to,
mm,
because of course he has something planned. And knowing from the culture in India, not every parent is as educated as they should be. And if the child has done the research, he should go and approach their parents that, okay, see, this is what is there. This is my plan for the next 3 years or 4 years. And yeah, if it makes sense, just let him go.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. So the fun thing is, Siddharth, my brother, he's also 24. He turned 24 today on 5th June. Today is his birthday. And
Oh, happy
he also
birthday.
like moved from India at around the age of like, I think 18, 18, 19 or something. He did his BCom, and then afterwards he moved to Canada. And like I've seen this, like you're right exactly about like this story of like if you have longer time to like stay in a country, you adjust to that country much better. So first of all, I saw like with his accents and stuff, like it was much better. Like I think he could like integrate into the society very easily. He could find a job very nicely. He was able to like make some friends. He was able to know the country. And like let's say till the time now when he would like go inside and like do his further studies in the university, things will be
Mhm.
much easier, and like the chances that you will make some like better friends, like that will also be better, because I personally believe that communication and cultural understanding plays a huge part in like making new
Yeah,
friends, and especially like native friends. And I think like
yeah,
that lacks when you just come for a 2-year masters, when out of those 2 years, the first 2 semesters you're trying to just like organize everything, seeing like where to get what, and then after the next two in the last 2 semesters you're trying to find a job. So it's
yeah.
too less time, I think, like for
It's
masters.
stressful. It's definitely stressful. And like in bachelors, you're there for 4 years, and you meet everyone from different countries. And in masters, for me especially, I started last year during the pandemic, so my whole masters was online. I've just made 3 new friends in my masters. So definitely, if I would come directly from a masters, I would be literally under depression. Like I have no friends, nothing. But now, luckily, like I have so many friends, and I visit them in Hamburg or in Düsseldorf, and yeah, it's fun. Yeah.
Mhm. And how many of those friends are from your student collect time?
So out of that, like 70, so during my student colleague, a lot of them they went for mechanical and mechatronics. Like everyone from India has this, like you come to Germany, you go for mechanical, mechatronics oriented courses. I was a part of that, and I went for that. And yeah, so a lot of my friends, we were in the same course, we had fun, etc., etc. But then later you realize that Germany has other options as well, like it's just not mechanical. And it's, I would say, like not many people know this probably, but when you go for computer science, of course it's difficult, but Germany lacks IT specialists, and that's the course I think you should go for, because you will get a job like this
Oh,
compared to a
people
mechanical job.
people are tearing each other's like shirts to like get like people from IT. I tell you, I interviewed recently a few like founders from a digital hub initiative in Germany, and like every single one of these founders, the company owners, complained about one thing: we don't have good software developers, we
Yeah,
don't have good
yeah,
IT people.
Exactly. I did that exactly as well. So my first internship was in ZF, and I was in core mechatronics. So it was like what I was doing and what I was studying. But then I realized that it was a pretty interesting field, but it wasn't just meant for me. Like I'm more of I took computer science in my 11th and 12th. So I had some background in that, and I always liked coding. So during my master's, I completely switched my career to core computer science, and now I'm working as a software developer, like during my internship. So, and I know I see the, let's say, the demand for it, because even as an intern, I'm getting, like, you get recruitment calls, and that's funny because no one calls you when you are an intern. And no one
Exactly.
did when I was interning as a mechatronic or a mechanical guy.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much funny there.
Mhm. That's
Yeah.
that's very nice. Can you like tell me the cities that you were in like during your Studienkolleg, bachelor's and like masters and now like in internship? Like what kind of
Yeah.
cities have you lived in?
So during my student colleague, I was in Cleve. So it's like a
Mhm,
small university town where my Hochschule is actually, and it's near Netherlands. So we are right at the Netherlands border.
mhm.
You can cross, like you can go to a certain
Yeah.
point in Netherlands with your student ticket. So that was completely amazing. 4 years you can go here and there. Then for my mandatory internship, I went to South Germany in Friedrichshafen. So that is near Lake Constance.
Yeah, man,
And
I was there. So that's where. So I met Alina in Freiburg, and I was going to Friedrichshafen also in 2015. Oh, I remember, really beautiful city.
yeah, it was like definitely a really beautiful city, but so in terms of tourists, amazing. But once you stay there, okay, the first month you're going to like everything, mountains, lakes,
Yeah,
blah, blah, blah. After some time, it just gets to you because you come from like a city background and you need noise around you.
yeah,
And that city was so peaceful. Everything shuts at 6 o'clock.
yeah.
People are living peaceful lives. And yeah, so I decided like that wasn't the scene for me. So I went back again so I applied for many masters actually. I got in. I even got into U Dortmund, but I decided to go back to my uni because the thing was I know everything about my uni, and my plan was simple that I just want to get done with my exams
Hmm.
and get free as possible because once you're free, you're able to move around in
Yeah.
Germany. And if you are in a TU, I know for sure I would take 3 semesters just to be there.
Hmm.
So that was my plan. I finished that, and it was all online. So I was sleeping, waking up, attending classes, sleeping again. That was my schedule for my masters. Yeah, and then now I'm in Berlin and my company is in Potsdam. So yeah.
Okay. And like, how would you compare Berlin with Kleve or like Friedrichshafen?
So I would say, I mean, of course, like I come from Mumbai and I love that vibe, more people, more parties, more things, more restaurants. And I was craving that. So for the past 5 years, I was staying in a very small city. So I always was missing that. And now that I'm here, I would go to another big city, but I would never try to go to a village again because you get everything. Everything is nearby. Like there are like 7 restaurants near my house, and out
Mhm.
there I had to like call for one restaurant which was like 30 minutes away and the food comes after 1 hour. So it's every village in Germany.
Yeah. Absolutely, man. Like that's very cool. I mean, I've been to Friedrichshafen, so like I know like those times. I was in this conference for International Association for Advancement of Space Safety, IAASS. So yeah, and this was like taking place in this Zeppelin house in Friedrichshafen,
Yeah.
and so like I think in October 2014, right? So I was staying in this Jugendherberge, this youth hostel. Yeah. And I was like, of course, the cheapest you can find. And I was like, yeah, like, let me stay there. And then afterwards, like, we went to the conference, and in the conference, there was the dinner and everything. And then at night, when we were going back, like, it was around 11 and 12. Like, of course, everything is like closed down in that like town. And turns out that I forgot my card with which I can enter inside the youth hostel. So I and a friend of mine who were like both staying there, not friend, but like we know each other from the conference. Then afterwards we tried to look around everywhere throughout Friedrichshafen, and we found like only one hotel which was like, okay, like you guys can stay here or something. But crazy, man, like the town is very very tiny. And I think have you been to this view tower? There was a viewpoint, a tower where you could like go up and like you can see
Yeah, in the end,
Switzerland.
right? So
Yeah.
yeah, it's in between the lake and yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, man. It's pretty nice city for
Yeah,
sure.
I mean when I was there for 1 year, so I've visited almost most of the places near Lake Constance. So in Austria as well, and even the Switzerland side. And then Zurich was like 2 hours from there.
Mm,
So I've gone there like two, three times. And
mm.
that place was definitely beautiful, but it's not
Yeah,
meant
yeah,
for the long, like
absolutely,
three,
absolutely.
4 weeks. Okay, you can enjoy your time there. But yeah,
Unless you have taken retirement from the world like Alina and we are living on an island with just 6,000 people right now. So I mean, like we know how it feels to, like, not have less
yeah,
people around us, but then like to kind of like have a nice comparison. Like we lived in Hamburg for 3 years, like we moved to then Bucharest. Like Bucharest also is a big city, like you have 2 million people like just in one single city, the same like in Hamburg. And like I think it's nice to have this contrast. I think like when you're young, of course, like you want to be around opportunities, you want to be in bigger cities so that you can
yeah.
meet more people, you can just develop the confidence of interacting with different kind of people in different kind of situations and so on. And yeah, I think like that's definitely very nice. And in Berlin, do you also like notice that the prices of everything is very cheap, or like is it like it doesn't feel that way?
For me, it's on because supermarkets they're charging the same. Like it'll be a matter of
Right,
10,
right.
20 cents maximum.
The
And if you
Fiona
go to
shop and
see,
stuff.
yeah, and if you go to see for restaurants, it's cheaper because they
Exactly.
have competition. It's like that cutthroat competition. Okay, I'll give you this for
Yeah,
3 euros, or I'll give you for 3.5.
yeah,
If I would go in my small town, there's just one shop, so he has that
yeah,
monopoly there,
yeah,
and of course he's going to charge that.
yeah.
So I see that here. Like a lot of things are cheaper here,
Mhm.
definitely, and you find everything. Like I have like what 5, 6 Indian stores here
Yeah.
now, which I didn't have before, and that's like heaven to me now. Yeah,
Anytime you want to eat poha or like make
yeah,
some like dosa or something, whatever, you have the stuff for that.
yeah,
Nice.
definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen this like compared to like Hamburg and Munich. Like you have like the prices are way more expensive. Like also in Hamburg, like whenever I was coming from Hamburg, even the public
Yeah,
transportation, everything
I
is
go to Hamburg like every third week, so like
yeah,
it's a pretty expensive city, definitely,
yeah, yeah,
compared to Berlin. Berlin, I
yeah.
don't know why it's like
Super
the
chilled out.
living
Yeah.
cost is cheaper, like apart from the rent. Like the rent,
Mm.
I don't know. This city is crazy. Like
Okay.
it's maybe overhyped or something.
Hmm.
But yeah.
How much are you paying for your accommodation right now?
So right now my room is 10 quadrat meter,
Hmm.
and it is I'm paying around what 420 euros, which is a lot.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Yeah, and that
Okay.
I was paying for the same amount in my uni town. It was what 280 euros or
Hmm.
300 approximately. So that whole difference of 130, 140 euros just comes in.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
yeah,
Okay. Interesting.
I mean you get the city life then. That's the cost you pay, for
Hmm.
like 100 euros per month.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Now, about the bachelor's to master's transition, Siddharth, have you seen like more students like kind of like also going from? So I know that like after bachelor's in Fachhochschule or Hochschule, you can still like do in TU, like you said, like you got the admit, so that's nice. But like, what would you say was studying in Hochschule like? Because the friends that I had in Hochschule, they said that like first the study groups were smaller, second like the tasks and stuff like that they had to do in the exams, that were like very well defined, so like you just have like these things to do and like you were done, or like how was your experience?
Yeah, so to be honest, like I applied for like 3, 4 TUs, 2, 3 rejected because they always have that credit point criteria,
Yeah.
and only a TU can match a TU criteria. So even if you know the same amount of mathematics or physics, in the end that credit point criteria comes in where you will get rejected. Like if you apply to TU München, they require like 35 credits in maths, and when you go to Hochschule, you get 25 or maximum like 27,
Mm,
and you will always be short. So there's this one option where if you're exceptionally good, they offer you like a bridging semester where you'll take up those courses. Or the second thing, so from my experience, I would always go for Hochschule because this country is very practical oriented. Unless you are going for research, like if you have it that you want to go into like do a PhD later on, go to a TU, like definitely. But if you really want to work in the industry, like a Hochschule is a much better choice according to me in terms of engineering because everything is hands-on. Like even the exams,
mm,
they ask you from what you've done in the practicals rather than what you've learned in theory, and that makes much more sense because you have to think, okay, I did this is this, and this is going to be the answer.
mm,
And in TU, like I have some friends, they are doing core theory, and
mm.
that's something I'm not a fan of. So I really don't like theory, and
Yeah.
I'm more of a hands-on person. So yeah,
Mm.
for me it was a pretty good experience in a
Okay.
Hochschule. Yeah.
That's pretty nice. So I remember from a time in like, so to you Hamburg, we had like these problem-based learning sessions where like you would be given a project in the starting, and the entire semester you have to like just work on that one project, and towards the end you have to present that project. So
Hmm.
like there were different kind of evaluation forms. Of course, you have your presentations, you have your oral exams, written exams, group work, assignments. So what kind of like evaluations were there in where you the university were studying in? So
Exactly the same. So every subject had like different things. So some were written exams, some were oral exams. Of course, like for example, in subjects like more of management subjects like entrepreneurship or something like that, project management, all of those were group assignments, and you work on like a dummy project and for the whole semester, and you give weekly updates. And presentation is like this important thing in Germany. Like every at least
exactly.
one week in every subject, you have to present something, like
Yeah.
at least once in every subject. And that's actually good, because once you pass out, like once you graduate, those skills are like really good. Then you can make up presentations, you can speak. And yeah,
Mhm.
I didn't find this. I don't know if it's there in other countries. I've not studied there, but this was something pretty much good for me. Like it increases your, let's say, vocal skills, maybe. Yeah.
Not just that. So I think Siddharth, like one thing that many students, so like of course in India we are not taught really like how to present and stuff, like, and the universities they don't have like a lot of focus. I tell you from my bachelor's experience, so like there was like only one time I did one a presentation, and that too like we were like kind of shaking completely because we were never exposed to that kind of
Yeah.
environment. In Germany, when you start presenting stuff, like of course like it feels like pretty informal in the starting because it's a small group, like everybody's just presenting their own things, and like you want to like talk about your own things too, and that's good. And one thing like that people should keep in mind is that in the university time you still have the opportunity of making mistakes and professors giving you the feedback that this was wrong in the presentation or this can be improved. Once you go to the job and like you don't have those kind of feedback, you never learn those things, you're
Definitely.
screwed. Like you're pretty much done. The employer is not going to come and say, hey, like you were doing this wrong, you were doing that wrong. He'll be like, okay, like one two three times I see like it's not working out, he's not improving. Okay, like it's not my job to like improve you. So I think this is very nice. Like I think this is one place where I believe that German education system like really trains you with your presentation skills, with like opening up to people and like being more professional, showing up 5 minutes in advance to
Yeah.
classes and things like that. All of these things are like super nice.
Yeah, I mean, by the end of the day, you'll be able to sell yourself as a person. Like
Yeah,
you can convince a personality, another person, that okay, I can do this, I can do this. I cannot imagine myself talking the way I am talking right now if if I wasn't exposed to such things, like presenting and stuff.
absolutely. Yeah, that's very good thought. Now, what else can you tell me about your experience now from like bachelor's versus masters? Because like, so how difficult did the subjects get? And also also tell me about this. Like, so we have done 11th and 12th in India, right? So like, how would you compare the maths and physics that we did there, like compared to like what we study in the German universities?
Yeah, so for me, the maths and physics in the first two semesters was easy peasy. So like I did that once you are trained for JMN, like you have that thing, it's pretty much easy for you. And after that, when you get more into technical subjects and when you get to select a few subjects, that's where the main game begins in bachelor's. That
Mm-hmm.
okay, you chose this subject and now this is completely new for you.
Mm-hmm.
And the good thing about Indian education is that I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing, but they drill you from the start. So since you're a kid, so
Yeah.
you are prepared for the worst. And then when you come here, things are much more lenient, as per like it's much more easygoing. Like the professors understand how much to burden a child and how much not to.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something like, and even in bachelor's, like it was like a party time for me. We were just chilling, and like it's only in the end, like after the fourth, fifth, and sixth and seventh semester was the time where you're grinding. So for the first 2 years, it was not much of a struggle. And
Mm-hmm.
then the difficult subjects come in, they kick in when you take the electives,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
when it starts. Yeah,
yeah,
because the basics, I feel like if you studied well during J mains, you'll be able to crack the
mm,
exams here for sure.
yeah. Yeah, yeah,
But
I saw the
masters, yeah,
Aufnahmeprüfung Muster and like things like that. I mean, like they look pretty standard. So not the Aufnahmeprüfung, but also like FSP and stuff. And I think like it's pretty similar to like what we are already very used to like in the
yeah.
Indian like 11th and 12th grade physics and maths.
I mean, I've seen this year that in the starting semesters they try to make your foundations pretty well. But
Mm,
as an Indian, I know that we already have those foundations. So
yeah,
for us, it was just going for the exam, then giving the exams and passing them. Like
yeah.
attending lectures was like we were just going to meet the friends and chilling. At least the first 2 semesters, first
Mm.
2 or 3 semesters. Yeah.
I saw that you also had a sehr gute Noten in maths in your FSP exam.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, like maths has always
It's like,
been
of course,
the
an Indian.
yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, maths has always been fun, and
Yeah.
definitely. But masters was kind of challenging. Like it's you get to the advanced stuff, and then that's when like you miss your bachelor's time. That okay, things were easy, and now you have to do your assignments simultaneously, look for internships, jobs.
Mm,
It's stressful.
mm,
So I was lucky it was online, so I could spend more time on my external projects because in the end, that's what got me my internship.
mhm.
Otherwise, I cannot see myself like just following the university route and getting landing myself a position. It's not possible for sure.
Yeah. So I think this is also very important. Your master's, it's in mechatronics, you said, or like,
No, no, no. So I'm doing my master's in bionics with a
okay.
specialization in robotics. So the
Okay.
focus field is robotics, and it's mainly about software development and AI.
So I
So
think like this is a pretty nice bridge that you got. So like you went for like what mechanical in your bachelor's, and
I
then
went
after
for mechatronics in my
mechatronics.
bachelor's.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay. Then bionics, and then afterwards you're like going towards complete like computer science, like
yeah.
the side.
So yeah, kind of. Yeah.
That's actually very nice because I think like people break their head all the time thinking, how do I like shift from like bachelor's in mechanical to like something like this. So I think like
No,
it's not possible.
I've
Yeah.
completely shifted to com science now. Like I'm working as a web developer essentially, and even some natural language processing. So the AI backend. So
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
That's
I mean, it was a pretty difficult move for me as well because if I'm applying for a CS job, they are going to pick a CS student over me. So I had to learn as much as them and simultaneously do my subjects here. So that was like the challenging part. And I've seen like in CS, if you know Java, like if you learn Java or Python very well, and you know 1, 2 frameworks, all the Mittelstand companies, they want more of a generalist rather than a specialist. And any Mittelstand company, let's say,
mhm,
and they go for those students rather than someone who's very focused on one specific thing.
mhm, mhm.
Yeah,
That's a very good tip. Yeah, I believe the same. And also, I personally think like right now the roles that you're seeing in the job market right now, Siddharth, like it's never that we just want a mechanical engineer. It's always like we want a mechanical engineer like who also has good proficiency in some kind of programming language. I know it
yeah.
from the civil engineering times. So of course we had our standard like finite element analysis.
Analysis,
So
FAM, yeah.
yeah, so from that like you have these softwares like sophistic and stuff where you run different kind of like structure. You see the shear forces, bending moment, and so on. But they also want you to be able to like write simple codes so that you're able to
Yeah.
like build some kind of algorithm or something in MATLAB and so on.
Yeah,
So
for MATLAB, at least you need C, C++, because when you write those, for Simulink, when you write those customized blocks, they are always written in C++.
mm,
And every position will require coding for sure.
yeah,
And it's going to be there.
yeah, I think it's not a bad advice like if you tell everybody or like the people who are like very motivated that you take up some computer science like knowledge. I think it's really not bad.
Yeah, definitely. I did that because that's how I got into it because I was missing this coding. I was having a FOMO and like really wanted to get into a coding job. And then so when I started my master's, I was looking for AI jobs. So machine learning, like data scientist or data analyst jobs. But the thing was with them that they are very mathematic oriented jobs and you need to code well. And whichever position you look for, they will
Mm,
require a PhD.
mm,
Most of the data scientist positions, the
mm,
good ones. And for me, I don't have the patience because I cannot sit and just work on one topic for the next 5 years. I need change. I want to switch from one thing to another.
mm,
And then the best route was software development because in software development, you will work for a project for like 2 years and then you are going to shift to another project which is completely different. And that's how you are going to learn more.
mm, mm. That's very nice. And this means like Oh, this is a very very nice like transition, because I think not many people have the courage to do it, and like also just say like I'm going to like put my head completely inside a completely different field where there are like so many other people like who already are like studying purely that thing.
Yeah,
But the thing is also that like the best kind of jobs that you have on the market, like you don't find them like listed on the job portals. You create those
yeah,
jobs for yourself. You tell
yeah. I
this
mean, my
company.
my application was unsolicited as well.
Mhm.
So
Ah, nice.
my friend, he was working in this company, and I was speaking to him, and he told me like they were looking for someone. So I just said, can like I'll just send in my CV and just show it. So he just showed his manager, and like now my manager as well, and we had an interview, and like the interview was nothing technical. It was more about my soft skills, how I will tackle situations.
Mhm.
And it the thing was, I'm doing a MBA course as well simultaneously, and he was just asking me about that because he knows that all these courses you do from outside are more practical than something you learn at uni. And I didn't expect that because I was giving an interview for a very technical role,
Yeah.
and he said that any engineer can code. I know that. You
Mhm.
just have to come and understand the concepts. I said,
Mhm.
okay, cool.
Mhm.
And yeah, that was it.
That's very nice. Like the initiative Bewerbung thing also worked for you.
Yeah,
Nice, nice. That's very nice. I'm very happy that you're doing like very well. For all of this that you have gone through. I mean, like the entire Studienkolleg, then bachelors, then masters, then like jumping towards like completely different fields. I think that's very nice. Now, your timeline, Siddharth. So like around what time did you start your student colleague, and how long did your student colleague go? Because I know there are some student colleagues which just go for 6 months. There are some which go for 1 year. Like how do these work? Do you have any idea there?
yeah. So mine was for around 9 to 10 months. So we it started in September 2015, and it so the last part after you there were three trimesters. So there were three semesters, and after that every 3 months we had exams, and after the exams we had a 2 month internship. So in bachelor in my course there was this requirement that before the third semester we need 2 months of internship experience with like hands-on, like welding and electronics and how to make stuff, because that's what you are going to learn ahead and you're going to use it. So it even that was there, and that finished around August 2016. And then I went back to India for like a vacation, and then I came back in September, and my bachelor started. So then that was like the normal 7 semester bachelor.
Mm,
So that ended last year in April, March, April, and then I started off with the masters. So like I've been just following that strict timeline. Like I'm trying to push myself to finish on time.
right, right.
Yeah.
And so like, is it your last semester, or like, is there something left in your masters?
So I'm done with my exams actually. I'm
Mm,
just working now, and my thesis is left, and I'm just not graduating for the sake of it, because once I have some yes from somewhere, like I'll be
yeah.
applying for jobs. If I have some good, like if my company right now has an opening,
Mm,
then if I get a yes, then I'll just finish it off in 3 4
mm,
months.
mm. That's
Yeah,
very nice. I would also suggest that like we also like hired interns and stuff in our company like in Germany, and internships are generally seen as a long form interview. So you evaluate somebody over a long time, and you see like if this person is going to like fit inside the company or not. So like the chances that you're able to like get a job like after like you're done with your internship or something is pretty high. And companies are generally not like running so low on cash that they are not able to hire one extra person if he's really good in that, right? So I personally think like landing an internship, it is a pretty big deal, and especially in the field where you want to do something in. And if you perform well, I think like it's already like pretty nice. I think converting an internship to a full-time job is like much easier than like just starting like
yeah,
an MBA.
definitely. But I've even seen this. So the Dienstleistung services, like the consultancy services,
Hmm.
they they are really like they really look for all of these students. And personally, I know a lot of people who graduated and they directly went there and they got jobs. That was pre-pandemic. Now I don't know how the things are,
Mm.
but it was pretty much easier back then. Like there were a lot of jobs, much more jobs in Germany.
Hmm.
And now it's like really
Yeah,
rushing in, and they require like senior developers, because if a company is spending some money, they would want the best. They don't
yeah.
want to just go for the small junior developer or something like that.
Mm. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. I mean, like, I think this pandemic really pushed the benchmark that people like needed to have in order to like be in a specific job or something. Because I tell you, like, so also for us, like whenever we think about like hiring somebody, it's like a specific commitment of money that you're putting inside and also training. So if you're hiring somebody, right? So like the first month, another employee has to spend with that employee in order to train. So you're essentially
Yeah,
like paying for two employees, and like when a lot of time is like being spent in like training one person. So that's why like I've seen many companies like they want to then prioritize somebody who already knows the stuff.
yeah.
So like that's true, but I still believe like your internships, they always like give you
Yeah,
internship.
internship definitely play a
Yeah.
huge role because I was doing the same thing. I was looking for internships, and right now it definitely does because if you are in a Mittelstand company,
Yeah.
you understand their work structure, and
Yeah.
when you are in a big company, they know exactly that they just. So I was in a big company before, and I was just given this very specific thing to do. So I know that if they want another person, they will just look for those criterias and get it. But when you are in a small company, you know the ins and out of a company, so they would rather go for an internal employee rather than looking for someone from the outside.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah, yeah, you're right. 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 So that's nice. Is there anything else, Siddharth, that you learned from your stay in Germany throughout all of these years that you think that many other people that you see coming in the later stages in Germany don't understand? And you're like, what are these guys doing? I like, don't they understand this works like XYZ? Has there been some kind of incidents like that?
no, personally, nothing as such. I mean, I've been with my friends, and we all have been here since 6 years, so we know how this country works. So
Mm-hmm.
I've not personally met someone so new in the country who doesn't know. But of course, when you come to a new country, you will end up doing something that you were doing in your previous country. That thing always is there. Even I did it when I came here for the first year. But then afterwards, you learn it that this is not the right way, and like those jugadi things which
Yeah.
you do in India, things don't work here that way. And if you follow the steps, it's much more easier than just looking for loopholes in the system.
Mm-hmm. Hmm. And
And
are
like
there some
definitely
like, yes, please.
the whole visa thing and everything here is amazing. Like you get a job as a student, in 2 years you have the PR. So I mean, then I don't think there is anything wrong after that. Like you just have to follow it and just get any job. It doesn't matter your salary bracket, doesn't matter, nothing matters. You just get a job in your field and you're good to go.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
especially for engineers, this whole field thing is so blurred.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can work in something and you can show that I've learned this in my
Yeah.
studies.
No,
Yeah.
that's actually very cool, and also like I'm happy that like you also like are sharing this, because I mean I've been trying to tell people that like you can, after you're done with your university studies, you can get the PR in 2 years. There's a special provision for the people who actually do
Oh,
their
that's yeah.
studies in Germany. But like that's pretty nice, and because like I think there's this unawareness about Germany. Like everybody knows about Canada, US, Australia, there's so much information available. I think it's like nice that like stuff like this for Germany is also coming out, and that you also like shared so much of your experience. Is there anything else that you would like to share, like some key points, some learnings that maybe others should keep in mind when they're coming to Germany?
No, I mean, it's the most chill country you can ever be in. And like the work-life balance is amazing. So that like you have your own time to do everything. And the salary is like the best in the whole of Europe. So if you go from salary perspective as well. And I mean, of course, you cannot get rich in like 3 years, but you will have a comfortable life, and that's what in the end matters. Right?
Mm. That's
And yeah,
actually correct, because generally you don't see such a huge like problem with salaries. So the nice thing about Germany that I've seen is that most of the times the groceries cost and like the general like living cost, it's not really that bad. Like we live right now in Denmark, and when we were paying 300 to 400 euros in Germany for groceries, we are paying here 700 to 800 euros. And I just don't understand that. Like it's the same stuff, lesser in quantity, more expensive. And I think something similar to Switzerland, because I also
yeah.
know many people come from Switzerland, pack their cars completely full in the German
It's
supermarkets.
yeah, that is
Yeah,
what happens in Constance exactly.
yeah,
So in the city of Constance, it is at the Swiss border. They just come here
yeah,
every Saturday, Friday, Saturday. Kaufland is like filled with 60 people in one line,
yeah.
and then they buy everything and they go. And yeah, I mean Germany. Good thing is you get a pretty much reasonable salary
Mm,
and you save a lot. I
yeah.
would say because if I'm not in Berlin, if I'm in a small town, then definitely I will save so much.
Mm,
But if I'm even if I'm in Berlin, like if I get what as a master student, let's take a minimum of 48,000 euros.
mm,
After tax, you get 30,000 euros in hand.
mm,
That is for the whole year. And every year, that means you get around, every month, you get around 2,800.
mm,
Even if I remove 1,000, which includes my rent and food, I'm yet left with 1,800. And
mm.
the health is all paid, like after the, like
Yeah,
it's cut
yeah.
in this tax as well. So, I mean, I don't see any negative point in that. Like
Mm,
per month, if you're saving around 15 to 1,800 euros,
mm. Yeah.
I don't know what I will do with that money. Like I started with this investing thing now because
Ah,
I
you
was
started
following your
to.
channel.
Nice.
Yeah. So I put some money now from whatever I get. But yeah, I mean, that's the fun part. And that's exactly what you can do. And if you're in France, for example, the same job, you will get just 30,000 euros or 35,000 euros. It's a expensive country. Same with Netherlands, that it's very expensive to live there. It makes no sense to me.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah, I
like
mean,
this
like
country has
some.
like the perfect balance.
You're right. I mean, some people I've seen, like, like saying that, yeah, you can get like citizenship in 5 years in Netherlands and blah blah. And I'm like, first of all, like, you take a look at the universities, like they're very expensive, like TU Delft and stuff, like, which are like, the like premium universities and stuff. But
Yeah.
like, you're paying so much amounts in tuition fee, and in general, like, these countries are all expensive. Like, you take a look at companies around Germany, right? So of course, leave Czech Republic, leave Poland, leave Hungary, and Austria is also expensive, although, yeah. But otherwise, like, you have Switzerland, Austria, Netherlands, Belgium, Luxembourg, all of these countries, they are not cheap. Denmark,
And
Sweden,
definitely, if you
Norway.
go to see from fees as well, like
Yeah,
that thing might be there. Okay, you might earn a little more sometimes,
yeah.
but you are putting in that investment
Mm,
of 2 years and around 30,000 euros or whatever.
mm,
And you will take 2 years to recover that amount. And in Germany, if I come for masters directly, I can start with my VEC student and I'm recovering from the first day itself. So
mm,
I will recover my whatever my blocked amount is.
mm.
I'm not giving it as a fee. It's my money, it's just
Yeah,
blocked.
no, yeah,
And exactly. So I will start earning from the first day I'm in this country, which makes more sense because even if you go to the US, you are paying 50 lakhs fees
mm,
and you get a job, definitely you'll get a much better job, well paid job,
yeah.
but it'll take you 1 year to recover that amount. And then there's no surety, you have the H1B1, there's no security.
Mm.
For me,
Yeah,
that's
exactly. I mean, if you think about it, like, is it really worth that? Like, you would be risking your life with, like, gun violence and like road rage and all of these things. And in Germany, at least, like, buying guns and like, using guns is not as easy as in US.
yeah, definitely. And once you have the Deutsche Pass, which is like if you do your master's here, 2 years you work, you get the PR, and then I think 4 more years and you can
Yes,
apply
yes, you're
for,
right.
correct? Yeah, with the B2 certificate. You have the Deutsche Pass, and then you're free to go in any country, look for jobs out there. That gives you much more freedom, and you have a stronger passport rather than from India. I would have to go to that country just to study. So I will have to put money from my pocket, which
Yeah,
is something I don't understand that concept since I've come here,
yeah, yeah.
like selling out money from my pocket.
No, no, absolutely, absolutely. And I think, like, once you have the German citizenship, like, things become so much more simpler. I know, like, so we started the company in Romania, and then afterwards we were crossing the Romanian border, Hungarian border, Austrian border, German border. So like we were entering the German border from Austria, and then we were going to Denmark. Every single time they saw our car number, the number plate is in like a Romanian number plate, so they stop us every single time. Like, it never happened to us when we had the German, like, car number. Very rarely. Romanian number, they will stop you everywhere, but as soon as you show the German passport, they're, okay, go.
Go.
So like, it's super chilled out. But I tell you, like, if you had, so when I had my Indian passport, like, even then, like, it was like more problematic in the sense that they would, like, really take their time in going through everything. But if you have the German passport, they know, like, the background checks are done. Like, the passport is most of the times not fake. So like,
Yeah.
like, we can trust these
I
people.
mean, they know how the Germans work, so
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that
Pretty
yeah. I
nice.
mean, German passport has a lot of advantages, really.
Yeah, I think this was a pretty nice call. Is there something else that you'd like to add, Siddharth?
No, no, for sure. I think I've spoken enough now.
Okay, okay, perfect.
Yeah,
So it was very nice, catching up with you and sharing all of your experience about like living in Kleve, Friedrichshafen, Berlin, and like having the life of a small town and also like, having the life in a big city. That's pretty interesting. And like you said, I think it makes more sense for like students to like, try to get out early if they can, if the financial conditions of the family and everything like supports that, so that they're able to adjust with the country's culture much better and much sooner. I
yeah.
also believe the same thing. That's nice. thank you so much for taking out the time for being on this call. And if
Yeah.
anybody hasn't taken a look at Siddharth's day in life video, I'm going to put that video link in the description below so that you can go ahead and you can take a look at that. Thank you so much for joining in this video. Thank you so much, Siddharth. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye.